And just like that, we are live. What's up? I hope everybody's having a productive Tuesday. Just got off the phone with my general partners on PEFI 5 and just really excited. We are working on a deal in the bookkeeping space. We also have the deal that if you didn't see her interview, be sure you go and check out the interview I did with Angela. She is lead and is doing an amazing job on a pretty large business. And one of the things when you're in some of those larger deals, you've got to kind of keep abreast of a lot of different aspects of the business while also coming at the business like a private equity investor, which that perspective is just very, very different. And what we do in deals is we have a 90-day sprint period. We close the deal. We've got 90 days of like fixing operations, testing out new marketing, just kind of getting our hands around the business. And then after those 90 days, we get into the financial engineering aspects of the deal. We just kind of hit that financial engineering aspect. That's one of the things I love. And they're very excited as well. And so just really cool call. And I wanted to jump on with y'all because one of the things that's important that we're always keeping an eye on, and one of the things we talk about today, is like you don't want to spend too much time doing something that's not going to impact the valuation, especially if you're in a fund environment. If you're doing things that aren't impacting, what you're going to really make money on, which is the exit, getting some cash flow here or there, or trying to grow or improve the marketing, all those things are very incremental. And there are a lot of other things where you can, obviously the video that I did on the 50K strategy, that's a really great example. That's going to come down today, by the way. But and that's a situation where you're literally just adding money to the valuation of that business. So in addition to that 50K, you're literally adding 150,000 minimum to, and probably more like 185 with the multiples in that space that you're adding to the bottom line. So you get the 50K, plus you get another close to 200. So you're that one thing adds $250,000 to the return of the fund, and so that's just crazy. That's why what you're doing and the time that you've got in that business, you want to make sure that you're focused on, hey, let me do things that are going to impact the valuation in a positive way and not get bogged down. And this is why entrepreneurs miss out on building a ton of wealth, is that they're bogged down trying to build all of these systems and do all of the different aspects of the business completely from scratch. Kind of jumped in. First of all, before we get started, be sure that you like the video, hit me with any questions, say hello as well. I like when you pop in and you say hi. Definitely appreciate that. Just got into Denver, which is really, really cool. Love the city, and I expected it to be actually pretty cold, and it's nice. It's kind of a nice, reminds me of a nice Tennessee fall day. Couple of things for you folks that joined Patreon. We are doing a full webinar. Nori's reaching out right now to try to figure out a time that's going to work good for everybody. I'm going to do a webinar. I want to make sure I answer y'all's questions on the 50K strategy, and we'll jump on. I say webinar, but it's going to be a call. Like, you'll be able to ask me questions. So you'll hopefully we'll get a couple of folks that leverage this strategy, and basically a $25 investment could turn into 50 grand, or just a business, a side hustle that you can take advantage of. So we're going to jump on, do that together in a few days. So she'll be reaching out. Be sure to look out for that. Obviously, you'll get the recording if you're in Patreon, but if you want to be live and ask questions and figure out how you can implement this, be sure that you reply to her, let her know if that time works or not, and we'll get it coordinated. Obviously, with my schedule, I'm traveling like crazy, so this is an opportunity to start a pretty amazing side hustle for y'all. All righty, so let's talk valuations. So one of the cool things about valuations is, when you're in a business and you're trying to sell it, you have control of what you want to list that business for. Now, that's a really cool thing, but it's also a terrible thing because you don't really know how much it's worth. It's not like real estate. If you're in a neighborhood and all of the houses are 2,000 square feet and they're for sale for $1 million, you can't just one day say, "Hey, well, I'm gonna put mine on the market for 10 million." You could do it, but everybody's gonna be like, "Okay, this is just outrageous. This is crazy. This is pointless. Like, why are this makes no sense." You don't have any comparables, and then an appraiser would come and say, "Yes, this is incorrect." And literally, somebody can say, "Your valuation is just incorrect." The beautiful thing when it comes to a business is you can't really say that, and we deal with that every day. We deal with folks, and we just had a deal that was our valuation came back at $8 million, and we basically recommended to the sellers. We're like, "Hey, if you make these changes over the next 6 months, this is going to be a $17 million business." So yeah, we'd love to get the $8 million listing, but number one, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table just by making a few adjustments. Number two, hey, when you do come back to list, obviously, we want to be your trusted advisor and get a much bigger deal. So even if it takes more than 6 months, it takes a year to implement those changes. It's worth doing that. And there's so many people that whether it's not knowing the valuation up front or not knowing the tweaks to be made when it comes to the valuation, that miss out on money. Now, there are certain rules of thumb. I want to talk about the rules of thumb, and then I want to get to the title. The title is why I am the only person that knows how much your company is worth. The rule of thumb right now for businesses that are in micro private equity range is basically kind of below the 5 million valuation range, is about 3 to 4 multiples. That means on average, you've got a SaaS business that you want to sell and it's making $1 million. That business might list at like a $4 million valuation. Now, obviously, I've mentioned on the channel a few times, we closed deals recently at 1 multiple, 1.5 multiple, 2 multiple. So there are all of these other factors that come into play. So I want to talk about it first from the perspective of the seller, and then I want to talk about it from the perspective of the buyer. The reason that I say that I'm the only person that can tell you how much the business is worth is because the value is in the eye of the beholder. So for me, when I'm looking at your business, I'm the only person that can tell you how much it's worth, because I'm only going to tell you how much it's worth to me. I'm only going to tell you how much I'm willing to pay for it. And the only person that matters when somebody's giving you a valuation, I don't believe in these people that you pay to give you a valuation. If you're paying somebody to give you a valuation, what's in their best interest? Just to tell you what you want to hear. I don't know, how much you think it's worth? 10 million, great. Let's do 10 and a half. Why that makes, it just doesn't make any sense. It's of no value to anybody. The only person that matters in businesses when it comes to valuation is the person that's willing to give you money based on that amount. So if I tell you it's worth 8 million and I'm willing to pay 8 million, it is definitely worth 8 million. Now, from the company owner perspective, you've got to decide, is the 8 million worth it to me for my business? And so how do you do that? How do you even determine it? And that's what I mean when I say this is an art. So the art of that is understanding what you're giving up and valuing that. So for the seller, it's, I'm giving up $1 million in income a year. And so that's like, one of the things that you're giving up. You're giving up, maybe potential growth, the future growth of that. Maybe in 3 years it's going to be 2 million in that valuation. So you've got that opportunity cost. The other thing, though, that you're giving up is everything that you're doing at that point associated with that business. So if you're working 80 hours a week, you're also giving that up. So those are the things that you're giving up, and then you want to kind of calculate that and then come up with a worth. And that's why only you can be the person to determine that. Nobody else can really say. It's like, man, if the person that is going into work. I mentioned on Twitter the wine bar deal we just did. The person that's going into work and they're dreading it every single day, it's just horrible for them, and they're having to work 80 hours a week. For that person, that is a huge benefit to be able to give that up. To the person that loves it, and they just wake up in the morning, they're as Warren Buffett says, skipping to work because they're just so excited about what they do. For those folks, it's like, hey, this is actually a cost. I'm giving up my $1 million and I'm giving up this thing that I love. So you got to pay me a lot more money in order to get that. And so that's really the art of this. And people get, it's kind of difficult for folks because people are used to houses or real estate where it's like, okay, here is this set thing. But I think it's a wonderful thing that you get to determine, like, okay, I don't like your offer. I'm just going to say no. And then I'm going to keep my business. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep, the income and all those things. I'm going to keep my employees that I have a good relationship with, all of that. And that becomes the kind of yes or no. It's pretty binary. If the person's like, hey, I'm not willing to pay more than 8 million, and you're like, hey, it's not worth it for me to give up my business for the 8 million. Great. I've got a different valuation on this. So that's a little bit of the thinking. Now, when we are exited, when we're in the private equity fund incubator, we have some specific return valuations because we don't care about any of the other things. We're looking at a specific ROI that we want to generate for that. So we're working backwards from the ROI. And there are all these other different factors. It gets a little bit more complicated. But for me, I think it's a lot of fun because you're able to calculate each scenarios. There are certain deal structures. You may want to have, a specific kind of milestone-based earnout. You may want to put together a finance package for the person and hold that paper and then sell that paper to somebody else. So what we're calculating is not just the valuation. It's not just the number. When we're exiting from a fund perspective, we get into how we're going to structure that exit to determine what our total ROI is going to be. And so it is very, very much number based, unlike the individual that's selling their business. Now let's pop over to us business buyers. And before I do that, I want to say hi to a couple of folks. Be sure y'all are liking the video if this is valuable for you, and say hello. Chrome Clapper popped in. At some point, you got to tell me what the significance is of the Chrome Clapper name. I'm very curious. Sigma Enigma out in San Fran. What's up, homie? I just made it back to the U.S. And, always feels good to be in the U.S., man. A lot of people hate on the U.S., but I love a lot of places, but I also love being back home for sure. And 285, I feel like it's been a little while. Says just checking in, Ace. I appreciate you checking in, man. It's been a little while since I've seen you pop in, so I appreciate that. Smoke Dog, what up, Smoke Dog? Oh man, and ATL says, hey Ace, checking in from ATL. I miss ATL, man. It's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. I used to live in Buckhead, and so you could imagine, I don't know how long you've been there, but you can imagine my surprise the last time I was there and I go over to Lenox Mall and they have metal detectors to get in, and it is just, you get in and it is just straight hood, man. It's wild. Like, Lenox, when I was there, Lenox and Phipps, it was like old white people walking around Lenox. Now those people would definitely get robbed if they tried to go. Oh man, it's crazy. So yeah, the ATL is changing. I wonder what's popping. What's the cool place to stay in Atlanta now? All the way from New York. What up, homie? We got New York Engineer. Says Axelrod or Axelrod. I was on a flight recently, man, and was watching Billions, and the guy next to me was a fan of the show, and we were just talking like, man, they've done a good job. Like they've done an amazing job with the new season, but no matter how good they do, you mix acts, man. You miss old Axelrod. Thanks for popping in. Pirate School, it's Liddy. What up? Checking in from MIA. I feel like, man, I must attract like just really cool people because I got all the folks from the best cities. Got New York in the house. We got ATL in the house. We got San Fran in the house. We got MIA in the house. So, yeah, we're doing good, man. Some of my favorite spots. Uh, and actually Miami. So I'm supposed to speak in the Caribbean in Anguilla. Actually, I got a call on that here in a bit, and so planning on it's right before Art Basel. So I may pop in, may try to do a little get together before I fly over to the event in Anguilla. And for the Denver folks, I think we're going to shoot for Friday. I'm going to find out what the agenda is like and what I need to be at before I head out on Saturday. But I'm thinking maybe Friday we'll hang out, maybe find a cool spot. There's lots of them downtown Denver for sure. Born and raised, yes, born and raised in Atlanta. I was right up the road in Chattanooga. But yeah, you're right, man. It's changing. It's changing. All right, let's get to this last part of this, and we'll bounce out of here. Yeah, that is a good one. That's a good little area, Ponce de Leon. And there's a lot. But it's just tough to know. It's weird how much it's changed in these last few years. All right, so back at it. Let's talk valuation from the perspective of the buyer. So we've got two types of buyers. I call one kind of the lifestyle buyer. The lifestyle buyer is somebody who most of the time is in a job and they don't like the job lifestyle. But then again, like, who does like the job lifestyle like this? Like, having a job is just not that much fun unless you just happen to be doing something you're passionate about. I got a friend that works for NASA, and that, like, you're not gonna go and start a NASA. You know what I mean? Like, there's only a few places or a few ways that you can work on something like that. But for most folks, having a job just is a big thumbs down for lifestyle. So the lifestyle buyer is looking to make that shift. They want to replace the income of their job and have more of a business owner's lifestyle. For those folks, a big part of it is what they're going to be taking into consideration, which is more the art of the valuation. They're going to be taking into consideration, number one, am I getting enough money to cover my income? So if that person's making 150,000, they should basically not be looking at things that are 50,000 in income, because and then be thinking, oh, like, I can grow this or I can double and triple this and that kind of thing. The better thing is like 150 or higher, and now I know that I'm able to replace my income because that becomes stressful. So that's the first filter, and you want to make sure that that's being met. The second part is this deal something that I already know I can do? It's not a new skill set. It's something that I'm very comfortable with. And then when you've got those two factors, and I think a little bit of it's something you're going to enjoy long term. But when you've got those two factors, you really are multiplying it by that 3.5 multiple. It gets to be very simple, because but you don't want to go higher than that. So what you want to make sure, and this is where the valuation and deal structure comes into place, is the minimum has to be that 150,000, because you're going to have some form of earnout. You're going to have some form of maybe a loan or note or whatever, however you're going to pay that person off, because we never ever pay cash for a business. So if you're following what I think, so when you're thinking about how much income, you have to have that 150, and then on top of that, you have to have enough that's going to cover your debt service or your earnout, etc. Depending on the deal structure that you do for that seller. But I'm very comfortable with the individual paying a 3.5, and the reason that I don't, it's not necessary to do the deals that we do in PEP is that those other factors are more important for the lifestyle buyer. For us, we're in and out of these deals. I have to remind them. I'm literally on these PEFI calls reminding them like, hey, we're not going to own this business forever. We're not trying to do things in this business where we're going to own it forever. We're trying to make it attractive for the potential buyer. We want to make it systemized, it's easy to run, it's passive as possible, it's making as much money as possible. But we're not, and when I say we're not going to own it forever, it's like there's no point in us investing in something right now that's not going to have an ROI for 5 years out. We'll let the other owner do that. We're throwing away our money by doing that. And we can tell them like, hey, here's what I would do, but you're not going to get a return on this for 5 years. So for the lifestyle buyer, it's better to pay more and get the right deal than it is to do what we do, which is like get the one multiple, get a 300% ROI on a deal, because all we care about in a fund is ROI. So let's jump over to private equity fund. It's literally the opposite. So we're filtering based on ROI. So whereas the lifestyle buyer is filtering on, hey, I want this to meet my lifestyle needs. I don't want to be working 80 hours a week. I want it to have, my income. What's the income that I need to generate 150,000? Whatever, all of those things after debt service. And then it's like, okay, if it meets all of that, then I'll pay a 3 multiple. With the private equity fund, our job is to generate the best return for the fund, for ourselves as GPs and for the LPs. And so we're filtering the deal. We don't really care if it's not something that's going to be fun. I don't care if I'm not going to enjoy it, 5 years from now. We don't really care about the income. And this is something that surprises a lot of people. We'll do a deal where with debt service and earnout, all the money's gone. Like in the case where I'm talking about the 150,000, for us, it could be that it's making 150,000, but we're spending all 150,000 to pay off the business as quickly as possible, because we don't need to live on that income. We want to be able to maximize that exit. So if we can get the deal, we can get it at a very low multiple, but then tell that person, listen, we're going to pay you off over the course of this year. That is the difference. But we don't need to live. I'm not paying my electricity bill with that income. So that is the power. That's one of the little secrets as to why we can, in a fund, generate the returns that we talk about. 200% return, 300% return fund. It's because of how number one, we're just filtering the deal based on that, right? So if you're filtering the deal based on this is I want to make a 300% return. It's like I'm only going to close on a deal that's going to generate 300% return, right? So that makes it very, very easy. All right, let's do a few of these. I think that's a good intro, good principles for you guys, and we'll do a couple of questions and bounce out of here. That was Pirate School. Jay Twitty, what up? Another ATL resident. What's up, big guy? And one of our amazing brokers. Actually, the $8 million deal was one that Jay was working on. And, this is something that, number one, I do love, because the commission on that was going to be $800,000. So just the fact that we got brokers that are on the Good Merger team, and we're getting just some really massive deals is really exciting, and that's just really the beginning. Ideally, I want to be really focused on kind of 8-figure businesses, but we want to work with everybody. So shout out to you. Yep, we were just having an exchange on getting the SDE right when we're looking at these businesses, coming up with evaluations. Thanks for popping in here, sir. I know y'all got quite a few things done today. Chrome Clapper still didn't tell me what the Chrome Clapper name means, but had a really great question. It looks like here. Do you still see some SaaS sellers baselining their business sale valuation at 10x, no matter the profit? Yeah, number one corporate of this, and I've called them out on him directly on Twitter. Just did again the other day because it came up. Was the Microacquire, the CEO of Microacquire. It's like, dude, like, it's a very weird situation because they have these SaaS business owners. They pay microacquire to list, and you're like, oh yeah, this is great, but like they don't want to list with a broker because we're going to tell you how much your business is worth. But microacquire has all these people listing, and it's just a waste of time because they're paying them to list, but then they're listing at these outrageous, 10x valuations and all of that. But again, going back to what we're talking about is the valuation is in the eye of the beholder. So for them, they're not going to sell, but that's great. Like it's almost like having a sweater that was given to you by your great grandmother, and it's been passed down in your family or whatever. To you, that's worth 10 million. You're like, I would only give this sweater up if somebody gave me $10 million. Nobody's going to give you that. But for you, you feel like you have something worth $10 million. So for those people, it's literally the same. It's like, okay, nobody's going to pay you that for your business. And the only downside is, this is the biggest downside to microacquire, there are just some dumb buyers out there. And so they just don't know because they're not watching this channel. So they're out there clueless, just like, oh, I guess this is how it works. And, they end up buying that thing from those folks. So that's what you've got to kind of consider. It's like, it doesn't really matter that they're asking. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to buy your great grandmother's sweater. Good luck. That's great that you've got it. But you're exactly correct. And we're not seeing, when I'm talking about the deals that we're closing, this is important disclosure for you guys. When we're doing these deals at 1 multiple, 1.5 multiple, most of those are offline businesses. And they're just killer, man. I mean, when you can buy any asset on earth, I tell you, it's not about buying businesses. If you can buy any asset on earth that the first year it's going to completely pay for itself. That's what a 1 multiple means. It's going to completely pay for itself. And then the next year, you get to make the same amount of money again, and you just continue to do that forever, and it's already paid for itself in year 1. That is what you want to do. Do that all day, every day. Don't stop. Let's see. We got, this one didn't have a name. I guess maybe we're not connected. Says, Ace, you're always providing such great, unique content, which I appreciate. My question is, when it comes to these deals, what is your primary role? Is it deal specific? So for most of the deals that we're closing now, I guess I was going to say in most cases I'm a GP, but we did just close a deal that was more of a strategic deal because it offers a service to the different businesses. So there's some businesses that I talk about in PEFI 1. We did the bookkeeping deal. We did a business lending deal. There's some deals that I'll do outside of a fund, and it's a little bit more hands-on because it's strategic to everything else that we're doing. But in I would say like 90% of the cases, I'm a GP. So I'm the GP, and so basically what that means, and in a lot of cases, basically I'm the advisor GP. So they're GPs that are kind of running the businesses, and then I'm the organizer. So I'm organizing the fund, and then we go out and we do deals within the fund. And so my role is what I was talking about at the beginning. It's really about the financial engineering around the deal, figuring out the exit strategy, coming up with the deal structure after that. And so that's where our focus is. This, what I tell people is like, you don't want to be working in the business. Everybody's talking about working in the business, not working in the business, but you don't even want to work on the business. That's the thing. That's the thing that I think, in Robert Kiyosaki's books and in E-Myth, what they get wrong is like, it's not even about working on the business. It's about treating businesses like a product. That's when you get the biggest kind of wealth, with everybody you see on the Forbes list. Those people made money through selling their business, essentially. Even if they didn't sell the whole thing, they were selling equity. Mark Zuckerberg is worth what he's worth because of the valuation of his business and the amounts that he's exited through equity. And so that's where you want to play. If you can just play at that level of dealing with, literally what is called private equity, as opposed to being a business owner or working on a business, that's where you want to play. All right. We're going to do a few more of these and then we're going to bounce out of here. I got to go change and all that good stuff. I am what up says, are you willing to invest a $1 million recycling deal in Nigeria? Well, I would love to do a deal in Nigeria, but it just depends on the deal, man. Depends on the deal. Let me know. Hit me. Feel free to reach out. And would love to have a chat if it makes sense. It would be through one of the funds if we were to do something like that. But I want to hear about all deals. Like, I'm never telling people, oh no, don't send me deals. You just never know where an amazing opportunity is going to come from, and that's one of the reasons that I do this. It's one of the reasons I do these videos. Oh, we got it. I had to know. So Chrome Clapper wrote back, says Chrome microphone, but I'm not a rapper. So it sounded cool. I like it. That's really cool. Oh man, the Hung Lee. See, this I gotta give credit where credit is due. I had never thought of this, and it's even in the Patreon. We put it at the top. It's assets, cash flow, and equity. That was the brainchild of Mr. Hung Lee. What is up, man? He says, "Hey, Almighty Ace, assets, cash flow, and equity." When the first time you wrote that, I was just like, "How did I not think?" Just brilliant. It says, are you still investing in music royalties? Thanks for asking about it. See, we went from that's everything happens with reason. We just went from talking about rapping to the music royalty deals we were doing. And would you be open to sharing the name of the bot that stalks songs on the and around the internet? Thanks so much. So first of all, we're interested in doing more. We haven't been as focused there. There's just been a lot going on. But yes, definitely interested. And people build. There's a bunch of them, so it's not like one bot. So there are different folks that build different bots essentially. So like YouTube literally has its own bot essentially that is tracking like, oh, this song matches a song in this database. So it's not one bot that does that all around the internet. There's just multiple bots. So like a music royalty company or publishing company could have their own bot that goes, because they're obviously the people that are motivated to have that bot. All right, we got three more. Well, get out of here. It says, wow, okay, never thought about it like business is a product. That is one of the most important things. If you make that shift, it changes wealth building, generational wealth forever. The business is the product, and the bigger the product that you're dealing with, the more money you're going to make, and that's one of the biggest products that you can have on earth. And what you're doing is building that business in a way that makes it attractive for your end client. Your end customer is the buyer of your business. That's who you're trying to make the happiest, because that's where you're going to make the most money. None of your customers that you have in a business are ever going to pay you as much as the buyer of your business. So that's your most important, your most VIP person. So average fund, it's hard to say average. Like we've done, the largest fund that I've raised has been 12 million. So that would be the absolute largest. And then I like to do smaller, shorter term funds mostly. So we're doing basically a fund a quarter. But each fund is only 2-year period. The 12 was a five-year period, which is too long. Huntley says, thanks for the credit. No problem, man. It's awesome. And this response to the music. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank y'all. Have an amazing rest of your day. Let's make it productive. Let's make some things happen. Send me some deals we can get done together. Join Patreon. We got that call coming up. Gonna be taking down the 50K video. If you haven't watched that, watch the 50K video. That's a huge opportunity. And we're gonna be doing a class on that with the Patreon members. Holla.